Yep,
So
exactly. And
so as you look back on this, being able to do all of these events and travel to all these different places with your family, what like looking back again, hindsight, what do you take away from that as now that you're getting further into your career, you've graduated college, and you're starting to look at things as a professional, and you're being surrounded by other, I want to say kids, because to us you are a kid,
yeah,
but other adults that are starting their professional cycling career that didn't have what you have. I'm curious as to how you appreciate it now versus you appreciated it then.
I think it really set me up for success, and that I got to see so many cool places, ride my bike in so many cities and states, and race my bike and have so many unique experiences and go on so many trips that many kids don't get to do. Um, I think that was one aspect of it that was really cool. And the other thing was, I couldn't tell you how many times I have somebody say, "Oh, I wish I'd started when you did," or "Man, if I had only started, at your age." So I think for me, having that advantage was huge. I mean, I'm 21. I'll turn 22 this summer. I've been racing cyclocross since I was 8, mountain bike since I was 9. So it'll be my COVID kind of messed it up, but I think we take out COVID year, I'm back to 13 seasons of cyclocross. Otherwise, it would have been 14.
No
So
one,
Can we
no one's
can
counting
we
that
can we
anyway.
take out yeah, can we take out the COVID year? I just like to forget the
wish,
COVID year ever
yeah,
Yeah.
existed.
yeah. But I think the other aspect of it is the way I was, introduced into the cycling community, especially in Madison, Wisconsin, where there's such a strong contingent of riders at all levels, current pros, ex pros, you name it, just strong road guys, mountain guys. I was, 13, 14, 15, even collegiate guys like Max Ackerman on the UW Madison team. I was 14, 15 years old, going out on what were literally called the Death March rides in March or February. It's 30 degrees and snowing, and I'm doing 80, 90-mile rides at age 13, 14, 15, just like getting my head kicked in by, fit 20-year-olds and Cat 1 35-year-old road guys. And basically, there were so many people, including my parents and friends and competitors, to teach me so much about being independent and taking care of my gear and how to ride in group and different etiquette and so many things that not everybody gets when they're not plugged into a cycling community was just so incredibly beneficial to my development as a cyclist, but also a person. I think really it helped me, not necessarily made me mature too quickly, but I was young, but also quite mature, being that when I was 15, I went and did a road trip for 5 weeks with my coach, who at the time seemed like an old dude, but really he was my age, 21. Sorry, Joe, if you ever see this. No, but I was 16, he
Old
was
Joe, good
21.
old Joe.
Yeah. So, like, me and Joe, another kid, Carter Warren, is another teammate and friend, driving across the entire West, racing and riding bikes in half a dozen states or 10 states, like, learn to do my laundry, learn to do my dishes, cook for myself, clean for myself, be a self-sufficient individual. Age 15, 16 was like, setting me up for success pretty well long term. But it wasn't also not necessarily being thrust into adulthood or anything. So it's a good balance, I think.
Yeah, you got somebody who can kind of guide you through that space, but also show you what could come if you continued to pursue this thing, which is interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, that was pretty.
So, and that's kind of your perspective on what you think you got out of it. But there's also another Swartz that has done a couple things in her career as well. So,
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that kind of sibling relationship, sibling rivalry. Define that however
Yeah.
you want, because I think you guys are fairly special in the sense that, I mean, there's a couple that I can think of that have siblings that are both performing at a very high level, but I'm curious as to how you guys approached it, how it how it may have changed, bettered, worsened your guys' relationship. Like, talk to us a little bit about you and Emma both being very, very serious about bike racing.
Yeah. So I think at first I was totally jealous of Emma, because we went to that first nationals in Kansas City, and she got fifth and she got podium, and I got 13th, and I was, what? Oh, I wanted a medal and a trophy and everything, and I think it took me some time to catch up, and be competitive in my own right. But I don't think it was ever nothing I ever held against her, but it definitely took me time to be an equal in my field, which was definitely motivating, I think. And at the same time, siblings who are under the age of, say 17, 18 are not always the best of friends.
You don't say.
Yeah, there's, believe it or not, there can be some animosity between brother and sister.
Huh.
Siblings.
I know nothing about that.
Yeah, exactly. So that changed, I think, when she went off to school for college at Marion University. All of a sudden I was like, oh, wait a minute, my sister's gone. I was like, oh, I miss her. Wait a minute. And I think that, 17, 18 is really when our dynamic changed, and I think we got a lot closer. And it was pretty special to see her at the races and race and ride with her, not against her, but and then as we both became more serious, we both started UCI racing, to be able to be teammates and work together and help each other on the course, off the course, to do things. I followed in her footsteps and went to Marion University as well. So to be able to do team relays together was just so cool. I mean, probably the only team relay squad that I can think of that's, brother and sister, half the team. So that was pretty special. And then same in 2017, I qualified for my first cyclocross world championship team. So for us to be able to go over there together and be in Europe and experience that all together was pretty spectacular. A lot of experiences across mountain and cyclocross, and a lot of different states, a lot of different countries.
Yeah. And other family stories, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of a wild thing to have. And it's not just like, oh, hey, son, do you remember that time I drove you across the United States? It's like, no, hey, sis, do you remember that time that that I short sheeted your bed when we were in Holland or whatever, right? Like there's like this different dynamic in that space. Do you guys think that's a superpower for the two of you? Like, do you lean on each other in those moments? What's that like? Even now, as you guys are still doing stuff, like, do you come back to that?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Emma no longer races, but she's still very much so active in my, training and racing, and part of my life. Obviously, part of my life, but part of my kind of support crew. One of those people that's in my corner and is always there for me. I think before that, even, yeah, like you said, that superpower, that dynamic of support and encouragement and everything else. Sorry.
You can't stop nature. There's things that happen. It's okay.
That was definitely very beneficial to be in a foreign country and like have a great close friend and family member there to help you dial in a line or help you pin up your kid or do things like that, and really just, and the reality check of what a family member or close friend can give you compared to somebody else, like somebody who's going to give to you straight no matter what.
Yeah.
Like important.
So last week on
especially now.
Yeah. Last week on our show, we talked with Rob DiMartini, and one of the comments he made was that, he said the trade dress is fine, but the minute that somebody pulls on the red, white, and blue, we want it to feel different, and we want them to feel and perform differently. So
Yeah.
for you guys, for I guess we'll start with you specifically. The first time that qualify at nationals, somebody walks up to you after and says you qualified for the world championships, and part of it is like post-race cross brain dumbness that comes with finishing a race. But when you actually started to acknowledge what you had just accomplished, what was the magnitude of like that for you, of being little kid that's doing all these races, but now somebody told you that you're going to be representing the entire country in that sport? So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty huge. I think the first trip I did with USAC was 2016 for some cross World Cups, and that was pretty amazing and just surreal to be over there doing that at that level with that competition. And when I was 17, like getting my butt kicked by Tom Pidcock in Europe. Like everybody knows him now, but watching him, just blow by me at Namur in the pre-ride was like, whoa, like who, how, what?
Do I have to race that guy? That guy does not seem. I don't want to race that guy.
The proper junior response is we need to see his birth certificate. That's like the little league move, is to try and prove that he's not actually supposed to be racing.
Yeah, but he's like 2 feet tall. Like, of course, he's totally that age.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, exactly. We were definitely both probably 115, 120 pounds in 2016. Same size, tiny dudes. Yeah, it was like, he's also very small, but much faster than me. So, but yeah, and then first World Championships, I actually was driving from Madison to Indianapolis for the first day of college to start team camp. And I got the email, literally, I was sitting in the back of the car with all of my stuff. The van was completely full. I got an email saying I qualified to go race the mountain bike world championships in Australia. And I was just, over the moon. Just the weight of it was, and the magnitude of it was just such a special experience. I think it just, such a happy and exciting thing to not just be racing world championship, but to be flying across the globe to Australia was pretty cool. Same with cyclocross. Been to 2 cyclocross World Cups or World Championships, and both of those, just you kind of know usually once you've had your results, and it's not necessarily that uncertain, but there's still discretion. And when you finally get that email, is one of the coolest things I can think of in the past.
So from those experiences and representing your country on a national stage, what do you think, like, what do you think the most impactful memory that you have, aside from obviously selection and whatnot, but like, is there something that stands out from all of those times? Because you've worn the stars and stripes repeatedly, but is there a moment that stands out that you like really remember where it was like, oh, the eyes are on me as a representative of this place, right? Because I think any athlete is probably thinking that, whether it's like Switzerland or South Africa or Australia or, Chile or wherever, right? Everybody's representing themselves. What stands out in your mind, like, as a moment where you're like, oh crap, this is really important from not the athletics perspective, but the other side of it?
Yeah. Oh man, that's tricky. I think there's definitely a responsibility when you pull on that jersey, because you're representing so many people, the country, federation, your teammates, every single person who helps you get there, every sponsor. When did it feel the most real, I guess would be one way to put it.
Like, because I gotta believe that, like, you step off the plane in Australia and you're like Team USA swag, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm hot. I'm
Well,
hot
but-
to try.
yeah, but,
then,
like,
but then
Yeah.
Like
you're like, oh,
yeah, getting there is like, oh, this is awesome, and I'm like, it's not real until you get there, and then I guess was there a point where the enormity of, oh damn, everybody that I've ever raced against, everybody that I'm going to race against domestically, like I am representing them right now in this moment, beyond like, oh, I get to, you get to do all the cool stuff and the introductions and like all of that thing that makes you specifically feel special. But I'm curious as to like, can you pinpoint when the magnitude or the enormity of the moment actually hit you and it was like, oh, this is,
Yeah.
I'm
Right,
120 pounds. I'm not big enough to shoulder this.
to be
Yeah.
very clear, this is John and I thinking about how we would feel and wanting to
Yeah.
know, does it really feel that way? Because we're real confused, because we're never going to do
I
this
have
ourselves.
butterflies thinking about it right now. And I'm nowhere
So-
near that.
Yeah, I know the exact moment. I think Australia was gnarly. For sure. For sure the scariest course I've ever ridden. I didn't have a dropper post. I'd never ridden with one. The track was literally the old downhill trails that the downhillers don't use anymore because they're too gnarly.
Yeah.
And that's what we were riding on our cross country bikes.
Sounds right.
Terrifying, beyond terrifying. I've never in my life been actually afraid to go to the start line until that race, because there was 4 to 5 to 6 features per lap that if you crashed on, your day was done. You might be going to the hospital. Like, I watched a Dutch dude who stayed at the same hotel break his neck on a roller 30 seconds after the start line in pre-ride. Like, I totaled a Garmin, a GoPro, and a heart rate strap because I hit the ground so hard in a crash in pre-ride 2.
A
Yeah.
heart rate strap? The little
I've done a
floppy
couple of
things that
those.
you can't break unless
Yeah.
you sit them in water for a month?
You know, the circular like centerpiece that clips together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've broken, I want to say 3 of those. I don't have that many crash. Like, I don't crash that much, but sometimes when I have when I do crash, sometimes it's a bad one. And I think I've totaled 3 heart rate straps from impact.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
You must be
One
going
was in
real
Australia.
I'm
fast.
trying to like
Yeah.
I'm trying to like figure out how you get your body in that position, but yeah, it is.
Yeah, don't break your fall. Save your collarbones,
Yeah.
right? Just skid on your chest.
Exactly. Yeah, the chest can take it. The sternum, it's what it's made for. But yeah, one of those was in
Okay.
Australia. One of those was in Australia, and Emily Batty actually did the same thing in her race where I crashed. And she had to have like major knee surgery, did the exact same crash I did.
Oh yeah, you crashed
you
in the
maybe
same
remember
spot.
that.
Oh
Yep,
yeah.
crashed in the same spot. Another dude, Canadian dude, had DNF because he crashed where I did in the race. Luckily, I was in pre-ride. Yeah, super gnarly, terrifying. It was messed up. And that's when I knew I was really in for it. But like the absolute moment, back to the original question here, where the magnitude hit me was in Luxembourg, BLAs, however you want to say it. It had snowed. There was snow on the ground, so the course was already snowy. It started raining while we were pre-riding, but it was 33 or 34 degrees, so it was freezing rain. So by the time we went to race and pre-ride, the course was 100% black ice over snow and pavement.
Oh God.
And it was already a pretty gnarly course.
It's just like Madison, right?
yeah.
In the winter.
It was insane. And again, it was dangerous. It was legitimately not like, oh, that's a little technical. It was, wow, I could eat it in any corner at any given second because it's 100% black ice. Like, they dumped half a dump truck of sand in the U-turn at the end of the start chute after there were so many crashes, I think, in one of the races.
That'll do.
You can look up.
That's fine. That's good
Yeah.
enough.
You can look up the crash reel from that race weekend, and it's messed up. But anyways, back to the point. Me and all my other junior teammates were sitting in the USAC van after pre-ride, waiting to go warm up, and we're all just they're big old cargo vans. There's 3 seats, 2 rows of 3 seats, and so we're 6 juniors just sitting there, just dead silent in this lukewarm van, just nervous as can be, just stewing, thinking about how we have to go out there and race on this glare ice over snow. I think finally I think Denzel Stevenson, I think he was a national champ that year, and he was number 1 ranked guy. I think he got 10th that day, but he's just sitting there like, I wish it was over already. Like,
Well, I guess
I wish we would.
I mean, in that situation, somebody has to break the ice.
Yeah.
Literally.
And
Yeah.
literally, yeah. But not, break yourself. But I guess that leads to an interesting follow-up is like your experience as a national athlete and being surrounded by the kind of cream of the crop with not only the folks in your age bracket, male, female, but also the pros and so what if you had your main takeaways from being exposed to that national level of support at these world championship style events, what are some of your primary takeaways like for yourself? Because I think a lot of folks, you see the Team USA show up, you see that there's the handlers and the coaches and things like that, and the support team, but you never get to actually hear what the interactions are, what the level of support is, and kind of what the individual athletes take away from it. And I'm curious, from a junior perspective, you're like right in that sweet spot where you have nothing but people theoretically smarter than you to learn from in that situation, and this amazing opportunity to go out and prove yourself from an athletic perspective.
Yeah, I think as a junior, being surrounded by, like you said, everybody is essentially better at what you're doing than you are.
I didn't want to say that, but you did.
Well, it's the truth, and for me, that was such a growth and learning opportunity. Tove Nortonblad has been somebody who I've known since I was doing USGP stuff 2010, 2011, and I did one of my first European trips with him, and Tobin we'd always host him for the Wisconsin UCI races. And for me, being able to go follow guys like him on course, talking about tire pressure, talking about this, that, and go ride with Curtis White or Stephen Hyde instead at the USAC compound. And then, guys like Gage, just being able to go and learn and absorb and be a sponge and just, how do I ride this corner faster? How do I pick these tires better? How do I set this tire pressure better? What should I be eating? What should I be drinking? What should I wear today? How should I organize my bag? Everything, every aspect of the sport from A to Z, where the average Cat 3 or Cat 4 cyclocross racer will never even cross their mind to think about 90% of the things, that we're going through and thinking of is pretty crazy. And to be able to bounce all that information off and have those conversations and learn so much from so many people was and is still one of my favorite things and a way to improve as a cyclist.
Is it overwhelming? Does it overwhelm you? Sometimes you're like, oh my God, this much information. I mean, whether it was as a kid or even now, because all of us are always growing, right? But sometimes does it feel like information overload, or do you just devour that?
It totally can be. It's pretty easy to get thrown off your course, if you know what I mean. You're used to doing one thing, eating one thing, and so you hear, oh, the natty champ eats this instead. Like, oh, I shouldn't do that, or I should do this. It's definitely, depending on your gumption, it can be overwhelming. I think it depends on who you are as a person. For me, I think I took some of it in stride. Some of it probably, I had to circle back to and think about. But it definitely takes a mixture of both to both knowing what's best for you and knowing that you can improve, and how to incorporate the new knowledge, the new experiences into what you already have, and how to move forward and not necessarily forget or leave behind the knowledge you already have.
So, how much of this of these learning experiences are you going out and asking a question versus somebody observing what you're doing and them giving you feedback on it?
It's definitely a mixture. I think depends on the situation, definitely. But you're constantly surrounded by people who are there to help you when you're on Team USA. I mean, every person and staff member is there and has a job because they're hired to help you, and they want to help you, and that's super positive and inspiring to know you have that lineup of support, from mechanics to coaches to Swannies and massage therapists. There are definitely set times where we're meeting and knowledge is being given to us, in a group setting or an individual setting. We have one-on-one meetings, something like that. Kind of depends. And then the rest of it is for sure, I want to know something, or I need to figure something out. I'm having trouble. So like, okay, like, Gage, what are you running for tire pressure? Like, hey, Curtis, can I follow you on this line or something like that? Definitely takes a little mixture of both and a little extra kind of tenacity to get out of your comfort zone and ask a big gun how to do something better, I guess.
So I think this is an outward perception that I have, and I'm curious if it's true because I can't go walk inside this, and I may be completely off base. But right, the United States, when it comes to cyclocross and frankly bikes all over the place, we are down in tiers, right? This is not Belgium where it's so cutthroat that and
Belgium bikes is little league. I mean,
but like if you're going to make the national team in cyclocross in Belgium, like you are out for your own, you've got your own army of people. Do you think that there is a difference in the fact that we are kind of underdogs in that space that creates that environment where everyone's looking out for each other and trying to like help each other? Because I doubt you're going to have a bunch of these Belgian dudes being like, no, follow my line, I'll show you how to do this faster, right? Like I don't think I just, and this is my imagination, but like, do you feel that is a difference between the way we're structured as a country cycling organization, as USAC runs their camps versus other places?
Yeah, it's hard to say without being more involved in some of those or being immersed in another country's
you're not
program,
Belgian.
for sure.
We get that.
Yeah, but I mean, I would foresee that Team USA might be a little more of a team in some of those aspects. I think there's all the different nations have their own programs and everything is collective at these massive events. But yeah, I think for sure a little more cutthroat business in Belgium and other stuff, and maybe a little less, sharing of knowledge and encouragement. I could maybe think of that could be the case, but
now we just need to infiltrate and find out.
Yeah, now we got to figure it out. Yeah,
exactly.
So
get in there.
So I guess a follow up to that is, and again, this is like a from your observational perspective, what do you see as the differences in the way that our national team is run at these events versus, let's say, Belgium or Netherlands? Or I'm just thinking of the primary powerhouses right now. That I mean, it's either cyan or orange winning all of the medals. So
yeah. I mean, at the events, I would say USAC is as good or better than any other country in terms of how our programs run over there. We have fantastic mechanics. We've got the vans, we've got the tents. Everything is totally dialed, from top to bottom, buttoned up. And yeah, I think in every sense, the support there is competitive or better than any other country.
I see some sloppy bike handoffs in the Belgian and Dutch.
Exactly.
And I've heard a lot of rumors about Belgian mechanics and Dutch mechanics that don't understand how to use a QR, let alone any of the higher end bike maintenance techniques.
Yeah, not a lot of USAC mechanics smoking cigarettes or cigars, whether gluing tubies or anything like that.
Is that maybe where we're missing the boat? Is that like what we're? Is that like what we should be doing? Like, is that why we're not?
Hard to say.
I have heard a lot of references to a lot of that stuff being a dark art, and I mean, you know, artists like they've got to have their scotch and their something on fire that they put in their body.
The old school versus new school. You gotta wonder what's gonna win out long term here.
Well, they'll all unfortunately not be doing too well because they're living it rough and headed home early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're kind of in this interesting space, right? You've been, you know, a student athlete for so long. You know, so 2019 was the last, I guess, for you, nationals that you could do as a student athlete. You graduated in 2020 in the weirdest year of all graduations. Congratulations. And you got a degree, right? And what's your degree in?
Yeah, so I actually got a major in biology with a minor in exercise science, and I actually graduated in 3.5 years.
Oh, so you're dumb.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Got it. Check.
John. Yeah. That's inappropriate to call it dumb.
I think
I gotta wait till we're past hour one.
I would like to think that anyone that's listening to this show knows enough that it is sarcasm.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. No doubt. And
so biology and exercise science. What's like when you look down the road? What's that mean to you? What do you want to do with that?
Yeah. So first off, I will say the reason I tried to graduate early did graduate earlier was so that I could go to cross nats in Chicago and then immediately go to Europe for the next 3 months and not have to come back for spring semester. And then I was going to go backpack around Europe and stuff for my off season, which COVID did a number on that whole scenario. But for my degree and everything, I opted for the exercise science minor to use with coaching, which I've been doing for 3 or 4 years now. Through anybody who remembers Joe Maloney from the intro section of our talk, he started mentoring me when I was 19, and eventually I started working with athletes on my own. Then I chose to pursue that minor to earn some accreditation combined with the mentoring and the professional racing experience I have. So now I'm using that degree very readily and plan to both coach and race professionally as a means to support myself in 2 ways. And I think for the biology degree, I love nature, love being outside, love the ecology aspect of it. I think someday when I retire from bike racing, I will go get a real job and hopefully be out in the woods doing something somewhere cool in a national forest or national park.
That all seems like it's all part of the same umbrella. Like you love cross mountain bikes, you want to coach athletes with your exercise science degree, and then go ride your bike in the woods and then go study in the woods. That seems like that's like nice little package there.
Yeah.
So to that point, you just graduated. You're coming to us from Arizona right now. You've been putting in crazy miles for base camp, and getting ready for whatever bike racing is coming. I don't know. Whenever at some point. Whenever at some point when USAC and UCI say everything is fine and we can domestically race and blah 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 blah, whatever. So to that point, what is next for Caleb in his bike racing career?
So near future, 2 weeks from tomorrow, I will be flying to Puerto Rico for a C1 mountain bike race. Then
anytime anyone says Puerto Rico, you got to go, oh, if you've ever been to Puerto Rico, you know.
Yeah.
You'll find out when you get there.
Yep. So, and then Pan American Championships for mountain bike will actually be the weekend after that. So those are two big ones on the calendar, gonna happen. Pretty crazy protocol for COVID. Nothing, insane, but basically they have a bubble for their Olympic training facility, which is actually 1,000 or 1,100 acres large, and it's like a third of their country. It's crazy if you look at a map. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, very strict protocol. COVID tests to get in. Once you're in, you can't leave. The races are going to be within this 1,100 acres.
Caleb,
And
Caleb, are you joining a cult? Because it sounds like you're joining a cult.
Hopefully not.
Once you're in, you can't leave. Everything happens on the grounds. Like
right, yeah.
It's
cook your
giant,
food.
yeah, it's a giant piece of land.
Yeah.
Everything that you put in your body comes from us.
Do a little research. Just check it out.
So just in case,
if I get stuck there,
if no one hears from Caleb in 4 weeks, we know he's somewhere in Puerto Rico, and we have to go find him.
Yeah. If I'm stuck having a tropical vacation still, you don't need to rescue me. I'll be okay. Yeah. So that's pretty dialed. No fans, staff, very minimal staff only. Basically everybody's on a list. If you don't have your negative test, like, you're not getting in. Super strict. But we'll be doing it. That's exciting. I'm getting ready. Bikes and equipment are getting ready. And yeah, that'll be through USAC and their professional team who I race mountain bikes for. So that's near future. And beyond that, we'll see what happens with domestic racing. Hopefully there's going to be a new set of C1 race weekends in Fayetteville. Actually, I think at the same venue at the bike park facility where Worlds are going to be in 2022. So hopefully that'll happen. And beyond that, looking like with COVID and everything else, summer racing, nationals, mountain bike nationals should be able to happen and beyond.
Yeah, it's looking better and better like every day. And I think, as an athlete and someone who had that kind of, proverbial rug pulled out from under your feet, like, are you encouraged by seeing the things that are happening? Like, how are you feeling about that stuff? I mean, obviously going and doing Pan Ams and doing, we got to follow every protocol, but how are you feeling as an athlete? Because this has got to have been a trying time from that perspective. And it seems like we're seeing the horizon.
Yeah. I mean, for a while, we were all in 2020, we were all so oblivious. Like, oh yeah, mountain bike nationals will happen. This will happen. Cross nats will happen. So for a while we were seeing that kind of hallucination of a light at the end of the tunnel that eventually went out. And then at that point, for me, it was like, all right, well, I've been doing base miles since March. Every ride I do is another drop of fuel in the tank for next year and the year after. I'm going to hit my long-term goals no matter what happens now. I can look beyond the near future. And then got into off-season time kind of after a big race in October. And then it was like, all right, well, a couple weeks off, we're going to start rebuilding. And at the time, COVID was just going up. So it's like, man, okay, I'm starting base miles for what? Like, what races? What season? Like, oof, man, this is kind of stressful. Like, am I grinding myself into the wall for nothing? But through intelligent coaching and planning, we kind of kept the stress low through November, December, a lot of off-season work, a lot of gym work, tempo locating stuff, standing starts, kind of building up muscular strength and everything else. And with the plan to start doing big base miles as soon as I got to good weather in Arizona. So that worked out really well to have time at home, still be progressing, still hitting that good off-season work, and then adding that mental and physical stress once I was in 75 degrees in Tucson. And now, back to that original question, seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, having done the racing I did in 2020, still hitting some big events, and and now seeing how much better things are in 2021, there's no question there's going to be bike racing. It's going to happen. It's going to get better. And, we'll be back to normal eventually, I think.
Yeah, and I think having events like what you described where there is a VIP list only and it is very tightly controlled, and thinking back to some of the events that did it correctly in 2020, they took crazy precautions. I'm thinking about like NHL and the NBA, where they literally created, this is your world that you're living in for these games. So they proved that it was possible to continue. Spectator sports like NASCAR, they picked up in like April or early May, and they completely reorged their whole kind of go to business strategy, and they're starting to trickle in some fans and things like that. So like I think there's a good playbook for people to lean on, whether you're UCI or you're USAC, in terms of trying to go back safely and not just waiting for like today. Johnson & Johnson announced that they've 100,000 or 100 million doses or whatever the government purchased. Like, that's great. We can go back to bike racing, but like not relying on those sort of outside endeavors to be the ones that are kind of leading the charge. But in your comment, you said, I am going to hit my long-term goals no matter what. So now I want to kind of put you on the hot seat and kind of outline, what are your, what, like, interview question, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, Caleb? Like, walk us through what's next.
Yeah. So, 5 years out. First and foremost, the goal is to be a professional bike racer, earning my living by racing my bike and riding my bike, which currently I am doing through, sponsorships, being financial product, etc., team support, coaching. I am fully supporting myself by racing, riding my bike, and I do not have a quote day job other than coaching, which is something I can do with a laptop or a phone, no matter where I am, anytime. I'm my own boss. So that's super flexible and ideal for professional cycling, and continuing to grow and supporting myself with that even more and more. Long term here, I mean, there's so many avenues to pursue.
But even if
raced a lot of mountain bikes, I've raced a lot of cyclocross.
But if you've got one thing that you're like, that's the brass ring, that's the thing I want to go. Like, what's the brass ring for Caleb right now, where you're like, okay, I want to make this event, or I want to what is the thing that you've got on the wall that because we all have it, right? Like, it's the poster and you're like, okay, someday.
Yeah.
What's the thing right now that's driving you in that space?
Ooh, man. I have a lot of things that I have a whiteboard where I put down all my goals, cyclocross and for mountain. And below that is what I need to do every single day to achieve those. I get out of bed in the morning and I see that above my desk. Like, I have a list on my phone of the things that I need to do every day to hit those. And sounds neurotic, but it's a balance of accountability and forgiveness of, all right, well, I couldn't do it this day. Like, I'll stretch a little more tomorrow. But, I forgot to do foam roll. Okay, well, that's okay. Like, you're still doing what you need to do long term. You're putting it together. And for me, I think right now, near future, for sure, mountain bike nationals, my very last 23 category national championship I'll ever do. I want to win that. That's big. Cyclocross, I've got some big plans cooking up, and hitting domestic 2022 Fayetteville World Championships as a first year elite. That's a big one. I really want to be there. As a U.S. cyclocross racer who I want to be one of the top guys someday, that's without a question the target for 2022, especially as a first year out of U23. I think those for 2021, 2022, those are some of the big ones there for sure.
So do you see long term your cycling kind of lifespan, your annual spread being mountain bikes in the summer and then cross in the winter, and continuing to do that for a long time?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to say. I've had a lot of pretty in-depth existential conversations about this with sponsors, mentors, coaches, team directors, etc. How, what, why, where am I going to do this? Am I going to be a gravel racer? Am I going to be a cross racer? Am I going to be a mountain bike racer? And it's definitely a little tricky. Somebody recently who is very adept at these things, it'd be a shame. So, it'd be a shame if you try and do it all and you end up being fifth best at everything. When I could have maybe picked one sport and been the best potentially.
Right.
But at the same time, I love to race my mountain bike. I really love to race my cyclocross bike. Gravel's really fun. Marathon mountain bike races are fun. There's a lot of money there too. So it's definitely a blend of following the progression of cycling in the United States, following the money, but not sacrificing my own personal aspirations for somebody else's. Somebody else's vision for me, I think. And for cyclocross, to really make money, you need to be racing in Europe. I think that's something I would like to do someday, is do a full-on European season, full block.
The Becca Fahringer,
really do.
The Becca Fahringer Tinder block, right? Where you can just go, you can enlighten us as to how odd Tinder is.
Yeah, and think for me that role model, really nothing against Becca, but would be Jonathan Page.
JP for sure.
Hands down, no disrespect to Powers or Hyde or anybody else, but Jonathan Page, one of the most successful, if not the most successful U.S. cyclocross racer ever. I can't name another U.S. cyclocross racer that's ever been on a elite world championship. Well, sorry, men.
Yeah,
sorry. No disrespect to women.
And any of the other names that you would probably list, whether it was Jay Power, it was TJ, or Steven or Curtis, or any of these other names that somebody could think of, they're all going to point to JP as well. So, like, he was the guy that kind of, more or less from a pro men's perspective, kind of wrote the book on how to do it, and literally moving your family over there and making that your life, and really digging in, and not just being like, oh, I want to come back and I want to, participate in the domestic scene and go over. And it just, even somebody as successful as KFC tried to do that for a couple years, and you could just see the drain that it puts on your body trying to hit sponsor commitments domestically and then take the flight over and then do another race block and come back. And it's so much to ask your body to do. And if we're being honest, the domestic cyclocross scene does not compare to what is in Europe, both from a level of competition, but also from a financial perspective.
Finances.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't really make money racing in the States right now.
Yeah. And sponsors know that too. Companies know that. It's just the reality of it, that Europe is where it's at.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, Tim Johnson is actually somebody else I really looked up to. I think I met him when I did a clinic in Chicago when I was like 13 or 14, and learned a lot from him there. And I was a Mud Fund recipient that year, received a grant from them for scholarship. And he's somebody who I've always looked up to and kind of learned from through the years, and kind of full circle back to 2020 or 2019 nationals, like Tim Johnson, one of the announcers, calling it with Meredith Miller, somebody else who would always stay with my family for the USGP, Sun Prairie and stuff. Two people who I've looked up to since I was racing at age 10, all of a sudden calling the race as I'm racing, trying to win a U23 national championship. Was pretty cool to see those names and kind of have those people to look up to for so long. And
Yeah, it's kind of got to feel like family calling the race that you're trying to win.
Yeah.
You know? Like
exactly.
it's got to, I mean, I love any time that I get to go to a race that Scott or Julie Herman is calling, or David
Yeah.
Palin, right? Or
Yeah.
you know, anybody that I specifically know. I feel like, oh, this is definitely my race to win.
Yeah.
I have
because
to
they're
do
calling
well
my
today.
Yeah. Totally.
It is cool because this progression continues, right? New kids come into the sport of cycling, whatever space or place they're in, and they get to interact with folks like you who become their mentors as they come through this. It doesn't mean that, you know, TJ and Meredith and now JPOW, who's doing stuff with GCN, right? Like all these people continue to grow and move into different spaces of the sport, but it's really funny to see how everyone just keeps leveling up in different spaces and doing different things and continually reinforcing the positive messages that they've learned. And it's exciting from that perspective. And it has to be thrilling as an athlete to like be like, oh, that was my idol. And now they're talking about me. They're like, I remember this one time this kid ate a burrito in a van and it was funny, right? Like having good stories about you to tell while you're out there smashing yourself to bits. It's got to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And even just, full circle, kind of like you said. And especially as I aged into elite racing and all of a sudden I was racing, you know, Tobin and JPOW and all those guys who, you know, I looked up to and still have posters of, you know, and, you know, stuff like that. You know, I was getting a signature from them when I was 10, 11, 12. And all of a sudden I'm racing with them, or you know, all of a sudden there's a guy like that who all of a sudden I beat them in a race for the first time. And it's like, whoa, like, I guess I'm a bike racer too now. I guess this is fun. This is exciting.
Yeah. And I think all of that, like bringing this all the way back to where we started this and talking about going bike racing with your family and racing with your sister and your parents, and then you meet TJ at a clinic when you're 13, and then that all becomes part of this community and this bike world family, and it always wants to give back to itself, and I think that's just, as long as that continues to play out. Yes, we made a comment that you can't make real good money racing domestically right now, but I think as long as those things remain, and those people, when you retire from racing, that you're going to figure out how to give back to the cycling community. You're already doing it by being a coach. I have no doubt that at some point in your career, you're going to start to make that turn, just like TJ did, just like JPOW did, and move away from the sharp end of the field and start to figure out, how can I make this better for other people moving forward? And I mean, it's been the story of you're still just a baby, but it's been like the story of your 14 years. 2/3 of your life has been with this family. So
exactly.
I have no doubt that you're gonna hang around for a long time. So
thank you.
With that, first off, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for everyone listening to this still. Thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties. I tried to keep it away from you guys, but when we kicked off the live stream, a whole bunch of stuff went wrong.
It all broke.
So now we're on our second live stream, but we're back. Thank you for dealing with that. Thank you for joining us on the show and all the stuff that you're doing now, and we are so looking forward to seeing what you accomplish in the future.
Thank you.
And for sharing your story with us, which is kind of the whole point of the show. So with that, we have our last kind of pre-scripted question that we ask everybody, just like we asked the first one, how did you discover bikes? The last one is, what would you like the Pebbles, because we are all Pebbles in the gravel lot, what would you like the Pebbles to take home from your conversation today?
Ooh.
It's always the stumper, right? It's always the stumper.
Even if you know it's coming. Yeah,
no, I've got it for sure. Have fun, ride your bike, enjoy it. That's what I did when I was little. That's why I do it now. That's why I do it every day. Even though it's a job. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. Like do what gets you stoked. Figure it out. you're doing something you don't like, find something else. If you're doing it for somebody else's reasons, find your own reasons. Like that's the end of the day. Like have fun, ride your bike, feel good, enjoy it. It's a hell of a ride, and it's a lot of fun if you do it right.
Yeah, and if occasionally you fall asleep being towed by your parents and your legs keep spinning, that's fine too.
Just keep
like that may not be fun in that moment. Just hang on.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah.
What's the fish's name? Is it Dory? That just says
just keep swimming. Just keep spinning.
But and I will say one comment that you made in there is, I think, and this impressed me when we had Brandon on the show too, because I feel like he was also wise beyond his years. You said, don't do it because it's somebody else's. I forget exactly how you worded it, but don't do it for somebody else. Which is there's 40-year-old people living in a corner office working all the time that still say that to themselves, that they're doing it for somebody else. And you know, they could be making crazy money and have the greatest title in the world, but they could still be miserable and not have that perspective. So for somebody as young as yourself, and again, you do remind me a lot of Brandon from that perspective of having a really good head on your shoulders and a lot of positivity moving into the future. So,
amen.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed having you here in this piece of it. We have some AMA questions that have come in. We do want to answer those. So as long as you can hang on the horn with us, we will get to those, Pebbles. We are so thankful for all of you for being here with us, whether you're joining us for the first time because you know who Caleb is and you want to check out the show, or you've been with us the whole time. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being part of our family. Click subscribe, click the like button, hit gravelot.com, and get in touch with all the things we have and become a Patreon supporter today. That is important. That's how we keep making this thing happen.
Yes. So to do that, in addition to your generous support helping us keep the lights on here at TGL, we encourage you guys to go hit up our sponsors, give them some love, purchase some stuff from them, use our discount codes, because these are the things that are going to keep them supporting this show that they're supporting us. We want you to support them so we can continue to support you. It's like paper, rock, scissors. It's perfect.
Something like that. Spock. Paper, rock, scissors, Spock. So we are proudly outfitted anytime we hit the road by our great friends at Be Free Ride Bikes Cycling Apparel. We have been with Adam for quite some time. There is new stuff dropping, awesome new things coming out all spring long. So make sure you go and check out their all the stuff they have going on. If you need custom kit, seriously, one of the best custom kit outfitters out there. They will work with you to find the fit, the fabrics, the chamois, whatever you need to fit your team or just your own personal brand that you've decided that you want to make. There's some cool shirts with whatever on it. They can sort you out. Go to bfrbcycling.com and take a look at how they can help you be the most stylish you in 2021.
And TGL is also supported by the great and wonderful caffeine, or I guess decaf, from our good friend Dan and Grimper Brothers Coffee. Click the link in our show notes and head to grimperbrothers.com now and get your hands on amazing coffee. It supports great causes. It supports individual cyclists. It supports events. It supports causes. There's apparel, all that kind of stuff that you can go purchase there. But above all else, Dan is a great person that gives his life to, one, making great small batch hand roasted coffee, but two, the cycling community. And there's nothing more, as we've been talking this whole time now about family and community, Dan is one of those amazing people that this community has brought into our world, and we couldn't be happier to know him. So don't forget that if you sign up for the subscription service, you will get 1 bag of coffee with your subscription service for free. So Dan, I need more coffee. I've been like,
John,
it's bad. I've like, I have a big tub of like cheap coffee that I've been like telling myself like I need to use that. But every morning I wake up and I'm like, nah, I'm grinding good coffee today. Like I can't not. And I'm just making coffee for me because Amanda's going decaf now. So it's like I'm grinding my own beans and brewing my own single cups of coffee. It is so much work, but it is
so worth it.
So worth it.
If you have not had the Colorado Dirt single origin, that is one of my favorites right now that Grimport Brothers have. Colorado Dirt single origin is beautiful. We are also proudly presented by BioWheels Fit Studio and Workshop right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, offering a full host of bike and fitting services to make sure you have the best fit and the best time when you're riding, because it's comfortable and sustainable. Go visit our friend Mitch at BioWheels Fit Studio.
And by the Ritual All Natural Skincare, providing small batch handmade chamois cream custom blended for your team and shop right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Selfishly, this is a company I started. I have since turned it over to Mitch and Kate, who are carrying on the exact same processes, the exact same vendors. Everything is purchased locally. It is all natural, shea butter, beeswax, vegetable oils, things like that. So if you think about the things that you put in your mouth as a cyclist and you want them to be clean, then start reading the ingredients label on your chamois cream, and you're putting that near your sensitive bits. You may want to rethink your chamois cream. So the cool thing about what they're doing is they are doing custom brands. So you can do your own custom blend, custom scents. How much tingle, how much menthol do you want? And they can do it for teams or your individual shop. So you can get custom labels for your shop that your shop supporters can go purchase. So contact Doug and I today. So contact us to learn more and how to do that for your shop or team for 2021 and beyond.
And finally, a huge thanks to our awesome friends and year one supporters, our homies.
New merch alert.
Yeah, new merch alert. Hand Up Gloves. Folks, Hand Up Gloves is changing the game right now. Just dropped today. Full finger touch sensitive, the whole palm, from the palm to your fingers. You do not need to take your gloves off to operate your smartphone, to do whatever, which is the biggest annoyance every time I'm on the trail and I need to take a selfie because I'm vain. So make sure you get on the new Hand Up Gloves. New designs. They are awesome. They're beautiful. There's this Galaxy glove that is super cool. There's so much good stuff coming out in that space. New jorts,
New socks.
all sorts of, new socks, all sorts of really, really dope stuff. Hand Up is amazing. So go and check them out. Hand Up allows you to express your personality and really put all of that together. Bikes, snow sports, golf, all of that. Click the link in the show notes, because you got to do that first, and then use code Pebble $sign at checkout to save yourself 10% off everything in their store.
So you guys know by now that we absolutely adore hearing from you guys, the critiques, the feedback, guest recommendations, all of that stuff, because we've been saying this from the beginning, that the entire direction of this show is being fostered by you guys, by our guests, by our listeners, and then Doug and I are really trying to be the ones to corral all of it and make it into something that's palatable. So make sure to subscribe to all of our social feeds, go to thegravellot.com now, poke around. You can see we have so much content, and we are putting so much stuff on there on a weekly basis. And if you stay in touch with that, you're going to start to see a bunch of new projects showing up. Or if you're, as we've mentioned, if you're a Patreon supporter, I'm going to be putting up a bunch of stuff this week of new projects that we're working on. So just keep checking back. Go to thegravellot.com every week. Check in for the Beeline articles with Pete Hitzman. Check in for Girls Moving Mountains with Jen Malik and Nikki Peterson. And check in with us every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the live stream. Hopefully we don't have Streamlabs killing off all of our tech, and we're rushing around trying to fix stuff. And then our podcast goes live every Thursday. And as I said, if you want sneak peeks on the new projects that we're working on, become a Patreon supporter, and really just keep sending us feedback and engage with us, because that's really what this is all about. It's been what this whole show is about. It's about family, it's about community, and about sharing knowledge with each other. So hit us up and let us know what you think.
Our intro and outro music is from Waterboy. Many thanks to him for the jams. Check him out. Link in the show notes. He's on all the major platforms. Awesome stuff. Great, just jamming music. So if you haven't downloaded it yet and just walked around the town, go download it and enjoy it. So, AMA questions. You ready, Caleb? You ready? Feet to the fire?
Yeah.
All right.
I wish. I'm getting cold.
Oh yeah, I can tell. Well, it's that desert air or whatever.
Exactly.
It gets cold. All right.
Well, we got a few, so we'll knock them out.
So we'll do
all good.
We'll do the easy one first. What has been your proudest moment on the bike thus far in your career?
Ooh, man. Oh. That's a hard one. Hmm. Ooh.
You could pick a couple if you can't narrow it down.
I think for sure, my first ever national championship I won was a big one. I started racing national championships, like I said, in 2008, and I did not medal or podium at a national championship race in either discipline until 2017. So it took me 9 years, 10 seasons.
That's a slog. That's like,
Yeah.
stay with it. That's, yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'd been fourth at Hartford Cross Nats. That hurt. And but then that summer, everything came together and I won my first national championship. It was my first national championship and my first ever podium at a national championship at Snowshoe Mountain Bike Nationals in 2017. And that was for sure just one of the most overwhelming feelings of just like completion and happiness and everything just coming together so well and doing that. There's this kid I was racing against. He kind of races bikes now. A dude named Quinn Simmons. Maybe some of you might have heard of him. He does some world tour things now, but throwing down with him and some other guys. And that was for sure full circle moment to cross the line and have my coach Brian Mata there and my parents and everybody else. And yeah, that's pretty special. And
God, like, I know you say it's special and you have all of these feelings, but like, try and describe for us, like, smoking section folks, of pulling onto the main straightaway. You're inside the gates, and when you finally acknowledge, like, this sumbitch is mine, like, what? I can't even. I've won a single bike race in my life, and like, it is nothing. It's like winning a national title with all of the hoopla and all of the, like, just all of the everything at Snowshoe of all places. Like, walk us, like, do you vividly remember that, or is it all just a blur?
Yeah, every second. I could give you every second of that race.
Yes, do it. Let's
start
do
to
it.
Finish.
Let's do it.
Let's see ours. It's a 27-minute long short track race. It's
gonna be a 28-minute story.
Yeah, oh man, it's ingrained in my mind every second from start to finish of that, of Louisville, of Tacoma. Just it's surreal to have all that work you put in every day for years to finally come together and to cross that line and know that it paid off. And in that moment, to know that you are the singular best human being on a bicycle in that category in the country. Like,